Of the issues we just discussed there, the US dismissing a Polish plan to send military jets to Ukraine via an American airbase as untenable. The Polish government suggesting sending more than 20 of its Russian-made MiG-29 fighter jets to Ukraine via an airbase in Germany. The Americans say they weren't consulted and that the plan would raise serious concerns for NATO. We'll be live in Poland in a moment, but first Duncan Kennedy explains the US objections.
It seems that Ukraine was in search of more aircraft to combat the Russians over Ukraine airspace and maybe even attack some of the Russian convoys. But it's not clear where the offer came from. Did Poland offer? Did Ukraine ask Poland? Either way, these 20 or 30 MiG-29 jets appeared to be part of a deal that Poland was offering to send to Ukraine. No details are worked out how those planes were going to get to Ukraine. But the whole deal had initially the backing of the Americans. The Secretary of State, Antony Blinken, was saying that if Poland can get these jets to Ukraine, then America would backfill the Polish aircraft with new American planes. But then over the past day or so, the Poles seem to have got a bit of cold feet about this, perhaps because they felt intimidated by what Russia might do by way of retaliation. So yesterday it came up with this alternative plan, and that's to send the planes to Ukraine, but via an American air base in Germany, the Ramstein air base in Germany. And it's that idea about involving the Americans and not sending them directly to Ukraine that seems to have caused all the problems.
Let's take you live now to our correspondent, Adam Easton, who is in Warsaw. The Polish position on this needs some clarity, I think, Adam, because is there any chance that Poland could just directly send these fighter jets to Ukraine, or are they not prepared to do that?
That is what they're not prepared to do. This announcement by the Polish Foreign Ministry has basically called the Americans bluff. I think there was a certain amount of displeasure here in Warsaw about the statements made by the US and the UK, specifically the US Secretary of State, Antony Blinken, who said that the US had given the green light to Poland to directly send these Russian-made fighter jets, which the Ukrainian Air Force already uses, to Ukraine. Now, Poland says we didn't agree to that. Unilaterally, we're not taking sole responsibility for that. Our country shares a border with the Russian exclave of Kaliningrad, where there are nuclear-capable missiles deployed, which could hit Warsaw in a matter of 20 minutes. So basically, the Poles are saying, we have not agreed to do this on our own. We will agree to do it as part of NATO if NATO takes this decision as a whole alliance. We're not taking responsibility to send these planes just by ourselves. This has to be a NATO decision. And that is purely, I think, based on, number one, the concerns that Russia has already said that it would retaliate should such a move happen, and therefore it would be Poland in the firing line. And I think you see that that concern is shared by Washington, because they've said that they're going to send early two anti-missile Patriot batteries, which would leads to you to think that they share Poland's concerns about a possible missile striking in Polish airspace. And number two, it seems like this deal had not been agreed completely within NATO or even within bilaterally between the US and Poland, because there was also in the Polish Foreign Ministry statement a suggestion that the US must backfill or replace these planes with used American planes. And that type of delivery of military hardware typically takes a number of years. So it seems to suggest that that deal had not been agreed, and the Poles would have been left without a significant number of aeroplanes for quite a long time.
Adam, thank you so much for that update. We've had a reaction as well from the Kremlin to this. Spokesperson Dmitry Peskov saying that this offer could lead to a dangerous scenario. It is highly undesirable and a potentially dangerous scenario, says the Kremlin. Well, Moscow, we know, heavily hit by sanctions as a result of the war.